We have finally made it. It is time. It has arrived. Conference play is here. I've been waiting on this since back at tip-off, back in October. Waiting on it through the non-conference play, through the holidays. I've been waiting. I've been trying to be patient, but it's here. The nerves are here. The excitement is here. I'm on the edge of my seat, ready to jump off the diving board, ready to hop off the lily pad into the pond. It is time for conference play. It is the ASUN Gameday podcast. I am William Hall, and I'm ready to get you ready for conference play. We got a lot going on right now. We have a lot going on. Plenty of games coming up today. More games on Saturday. It's the most exciting time of the year. When we think about conference play, it's like we look at teams and we were going through, analyzing, looking at things. This team was this, or what we thought. That team was that. But now it's kind of like that's kind of thrown out the window. Not completely, but you kind of set that off to the side because things can change now. Things can change. You've got teams that may have looked like they were struggling, had a challenging non-conference part of the season. Now the slate's clean. It's conference play. It's time to make your move. You a couple weeks into this thing, and a team that we are looking at the quote-unquote bottom of the standings that we have now, and they're at the top of things. They're running things. It can just change so quickly. We're getting ready, gearing up, getting ready for March. Both of our men's and women's tournaments. But right here today is the start of the journey towards two teams hosting those trophies in early March. And I will say that looking at things around the conference, it's sort of kind of where we thought it would be. Somewhat. I mean, if you look at the men's side, Lipscomb is right where we thought they would be, or where people predicted them to be as the number one team in the preseason poll. They're right there. Also in that mix at the top is North Florida. North Alabama is there. Those are teams that we've constantly talked about throughout the non-conference portion of the season. Obviously, we know about the start that UNF had. North Alabama has been quietly getting things done. I just not in the sense of like we didn't notice it. It's just they've been handling their business, and we've never really probably haven't thought that they were the best team on the men's side, but they've certainly been in the mix of the best teams, of the better teams on the men's side. And looking at the women, EKU, they just keep on winning. They are the momentum that they've built up coming into this conference portion of the season can't be denied. I mean, EKU obviously has been putting it together, putting the wins, and they've been strong. We've got FGCU, the top of the mountain, cream of the crop on the women's side. They did stumble a little bit. I know I made a comment a few weeks ago about them possibly not losing until conference play. They dropped one, but I think early season we were looking at FGCU and not really wondering. They're right where we thought they would be. Again, everybody is 0-0. Obviously going into conference play. So everybody's dead even, but you do have those teams that have kind of fought their way to the top and are looking great. I know Bellarmine has lost 2 games, but they still have had an amazing start to the season. And I'm just very, very curious to see if they can carry that excellent start to the season from non-conference into conference play. I mean, it's a different beast. It's you're playing teams that have either seen you before, they kind of know you. You've got those matchups that you're playing teams, 2, maybe 3 times a year. It's just a very different kind of mindset, I think, that goes into it, and I would assume that it's on that side as well as of the people who are on the court, the coaches, because from my side, I think things change. Like I said, you kind of put that stuff to the side and take a look at what you've got in front of you. You obviously remember that, you've got teams that have been scoring a lot or had great defense or had big wins. But when it's conference play, it's just different. It's just different. And hey, I'm excited for it. I've been waiting on it, been talking about it. I've been trying to be patient. We got through it. Again, it wasn't a struggle getting through non-conference play. Don't get me wrong. It was exciting. Of course, we had the big wins. We put some stuff out on social highlighting the big moments that we've had. in the non-conference basketball season, the wins, but now it's time. Now it's starting to get real. This is what we've been waiting on. So let's jump into the power rankings. A little bit different of a format for the show this week. Just really going to touch on the non-conference play getting started. I was so excited I had to jump in here and get another episode done. But let's talk power rankings real quick. On the men's side, 6 is Jacksonville. I think Jacksonville has had a great season. So coming in the league play, I've got my eyes on the Dolphins. 5, I've got North Florida. They have stumbled a little bit recently, but I still think they're in the top half of the league clearly. Right now, they're 5th in the power rankings. Again, not the standings, but how I think teams are playing. It's just my personal opinion. Number 4 is Queens. I think Queens has an opportunity to, don't want to say shock some people, but this team's pretty good. This team is pretty good. Number 3 is FGCU. It kind of came out of nowhere. I know that's kind of high, but they've got momentum building with these last couple games they've had in non-conference play. And don't be surprised if you look up here and 2 weeks into this thing, a team that kind of was out of the picture the last couple of months is suddenly back in the picture, so to speak. I think FGCU has a chance to get things going in the right direction after a slow start earlier in the season and be in the mix. And right now, again, they are in the mix. I've got them number 3 in my power rankings. Number 2 is North Alabama, team I mentioned earlier. I think that they've been just handling their business, keeping their head down, just doing what they need to do. I like UNA. I know Patrick is a big UNA guy. I like what they're doing over there. I think they're going to be a solid team this year. And number 1 is Lipscomb. I think, like, again, just to repeat myself, they are so far who we thought they were going to be. The Bisons are, I think, playing the best right now. I think overall, if I had to rank teams from non-conference play, it probably would shape out a little bit like that is at 1 and 2. North Florida would be higher in that mix as a whole body of work for the entire non-conference season. But Lipscomb has been a team that I feel like is still a favorite to win everything. And right now they're just handling business. So excited to see what happens when everything gets going on later today. On the women's side of the power rankings, number 6, I've got Stetson. Stetson always finds a way to get in the mix on the women's side. That team is just, they're kind of there. They're popping in and not surprised with where they are. And then with conference play coming, it's Stetson can make some things happen. Number 5, I've got Queens. Number 4, I've got Bellarmine. Like I said, they've taken a couple losses, dropped a little bit. Still a solid team, though. I'm still expecting good things from them. Number 3 is Austin Peay. This is a team that's probably right now was not someone that we were really looking at having a great year so far. They had some challenges, but right now they're putting it together. They've got the wins coming. And again, this is the time to get it together. You figure out, your rotations or your matchups or whatever you need to do early in the season. And then you got the game plan when you hit January, you just hit the ground running. And this is the time to get it together. And I think Austin Peay has it together. Another team that has it together right now is FGCU. They're my number 2 team in the power rankings this week. I just feel like that team is clearly a favorite on the women's side for reasons that shouldn't be denied. And there is a good chance that they're in a good spot when we're closing this thing out early March, heading into the tournament. FGCU, they just know how to win, and that's what they've been doing. So right now they are number 2. Number 1, a team that's just been winning, EKU. That's what they've been doing. They've just been winning. I think clearly right now they're hot. That is the team. That is EKU. They're number one in the power rankings right now. But this thing could be blown up immediately with the slate of games that we have today and the games on Saturday. So again, now the power rankings get fun because now there's not that extra bit of guessing of, oh, was this win better than that win and that. Now they're just going head to head. They're playing each other. So this should get fun. This should get fun moving forward. So speaking of getting fun and moving forward, let's talk about the matchups to watch. Later today, we have our women's game of the week, Austin Peay hosting EKU. Like I just got through saying, EKU is arguably the hottest team in women's basketball at the moment, but the Govs have had the Colonel's number. Austin Peay is on a 10-game winning streak against EKU, and it's been nearly 10 years since the Colonels have won a matchup in Clarksville. EKU is putting that string of 9 straight wins in a row. It's a very tough test to start off conference play. I mean, EKU is our second highest scoring team, so they've been putting up buckets, but sometimes things like that just don't matter when you're matched up with a program who you've been playing every year for a while. I mean, their histories of playing each other predate their time as ASUN conference members. So that what you've been doing, that can all change when you're playing a team that kind of knows you, your system, your style, and they play so much. So that should be a good one. That should be a good one, and that's the one that I've designated as our game of the week. Austin Peay hosting EKU. FGCU is hosting Queens today. I think that game has a chance to be closer than some may think. Just glancing at it on paper, and these are women's games we're talking about. The Royals have been playing well, but if the Eagles get into a rhythm from deep, raining threes, that's what they do. That could be an issue because shooting threes is not Queen's thing. But I'm looking forward to that matchup between Jordan Weaver and Imani Jefferson. I think the scoring battle that could occur in that game. It's got it high on my list of games. I think that should be pretty exciting. And on Saturday, I'm keeping my eyes on Central Arkansas at Bellarmine and Jacksonville at North Alabama. Now, UCA went to the championship final last season. UCA is expected to be a contender this year, and Bellarmine has clearly exceeded expectations during non-conference play. And Candy Whitaker is getting her first taste of ASUN action this week, and on Saturday, her Lions face off against Jacksonville. UNA is 9-1 all time against the Dolphins, and they've never lost at home to them. So I think the storylines kind of write themselves with some of these games, and that's the beauty of what we're getting ready to get into with conference action. It's just super exciting. On the men's side of things, our ASUN game of the week is taking place in the River City tonight when Jacksonville hosts Lipscomb. The league's second highest scoring team, the individual scoring leader, are coming into Swisher Gymnasium. JO's averaging a little over 19 points per game this season for the Bisons, and Robert McCray is not far behind with close to 16 points per game for the Dolphins. Now, Jacksonville is the only team we have that's undefeated at home this season on the men's side. They're 4-0. Historically, it's been a close rivalry between the two programs. Lipscomb won the only matchup they played last season. The team split the year before that. But funny enough, I actually haven't played in Jacksonville in almost 2 years to the day. So let's see if the Dolphins can slow down the Bisons and that offense, start conference play 1-0, and stay unbeaten at home. Queens is hosting the reigning ASUN champion Stetson later tonight inside Curry Arena. These two teams last faced off in the quarterfinals of the conference tournament last year. The Hatters got the 12-point victory, went on to raise the Bob Vanetta Trophy inside the Edmond Center. Now that was a great team that head coach Donnie Jones had last year. This is a different Stetson team, but conference play, like I've said, it's a whole different animal, and we all know that. So just keep that in mind. I think when I'm keeping that in mind as well. When I'm looking at this matchup, I'm not looking so much about what happened last year, but this is this year's teams. Now you kind of pay attention to it, you remember it, you take it to digest it, but things are a little different. The game I have circled on Saturday is North Alabama hosting EKU. Now, both of these teams have played well in the first few months of the season. I think both have huge upsides now that we're in January. UNA obviously is able to ride the hot hand of Jakari Lane. And the team has looked like they're ready to return to the championship final in March. I know they made the semifinals last year. As I stated before, I think this team can get some things done. Now, EKU, they took home the regular season championship in 2024, and I won't be surprised if they're in contention again this year. Devontae Blanton is a problem. He's just a bucket, and when he gets going, that team gets going. And that's another. I know I mentioned the battle on the women's side between two scorers. I know we got J.O. and Robert McCray in the game of the week, but Devontae Blanton and Jakari Lane could probably also light it up as well. I mean, this is, again, that's what we've been waiting on, these teams to start actually being on the floor, these great student athletes that we have competing against each other. So the Colonels have won the last 3 meetings with UNA, so let's see how this one shakes out on Saturday. And that's just a taste of the games that we have. We've got a full slate of games on Thursday, a full slate of games on Saturday. It is here. This is conference play, and I can't be more excited for what this is. Now, speaking of Saturday, Jacksonville, after they play Lipscomb on Thursday, they are hosting Austin Peay. I will be there. Patrick will be there. The ASUN Gameday podcast will be done live inside historic Swisher Gymnasium, right on the court before that game tips off. We're going to try to pull some coaches in if we can, try to grab some student athletes, anybody we can, to just hop on and just kind of hype that up. It's conference play. It's here. That should be a good game. So we're going to do this thing live. It's been a while since we've done one live, and I was feeling it, so we're going to make it happen. So this Saturday, live, streamed on YouTube, ASUN Gameday podcast on the campus of Jacksonville University when the Dolphins played the Govs in a men's basketball contest. But, hey, tonight is the night. Today is the day. It is time. ASUN men's and women's basketball conference play is here. I'm just ready to get to it. I'm ready to get to it and see where all these games are going. So I will be back in action on Saturday live, and then next week we'll be back in the studio with the normal ASUN Gameday podcast. I'm William Hall, signing off.